There was a time on the internet that you could not watch a beauty video without seeing a creator drip the Farsali drops down their face. Every single video started with this, and specifically, I remember the unicorn tears from Farsali, and people would apply it right under their eyes so it was dripping down like they were crying. These like iridescent drops. Even just like unicorn things in general randomly were so popular a decade ago. I didn't even remember the extent of how big the like unicorn craze was in beauty until I started prepping for this video, and then I remembered, oh yeah, it was not just the unicorn drops. Tarte also had an entire unicorn collection. Pretty much every brush brand was doing unicorn horn brush handles, and then that was just like a thing for people to put the brush handle on their head.
Oh, unicorn.
Too Faced had a unicorn lip product. Even like indie brands like KELLYG did a unicorn palette. Everything a decade ago was unicorn.
There is a huge phase going on in the makeup world with unicorn stuff. I don't know what it was, but all of a sudden just everything blew up into unicorns.
It's so silly to look back on now and ask, like, why were we so obsessed with unicorns? I think even makeup in general was very colorful, over the top, and fun, and I think the unicorn idea really fit into that theme of just like wanting to do interesting, intricate makeup. So today we're doing a part 2 of a video I posted recently titled, Why Was That So Popular? In part 1, we reminisced about the Nivea Men's Post Shave Balm as a primer, the spoon brushes, like we talked about a lot of stuff. That will be linked down below. But there were so many other weird phenomenons that we need to talk about. And today in particular, we're mostly zooming into 2016 and 2017 phenomenons because there are some weird ones I know you forgot about. Some that you probably intentionally forgot about, like the trend of applying makeup with a condom.
Latest thing that's been going around, which is applying your makeup with the condom. Here it is. And here's my beauty blender. Okay, so I guess I just kind of slip it in here. Oh god. It's like a little balloon.
Why was this so popular? I don't know. Actually, I do know. At the time, like everything was about shock value. No one actually thought this was an effective way to apply makeup. Like no one earnestly was testing this out. It just made for a funny video concept, which sounds so crazy to think back on today because if someone posted that video today, we would roll our eyes and think, why the heck are you doing that? But people were at the edge of their seats in 2017 to watch Manny MUA put his beauty blender into a condom and apply that to his face.
It's a really cool, fun trend that's going on. It's like using condoms as an application for makeup. Oh my god.
I was going back and watching these videos too, and it's funny because the creators are trying to defend it a little bit. Like they're not sitting on camera saying, hey, I'm doing this to get clicks, which is obviously what they were actually doing. But they did try to convince the viewer a little bit that like maybe there's some merit to this. And this was at the time that the Scylla sponge was popular. We talked about that in part 1. So I heard creators kind of defending the use of this because it mimicked that same texture.
Condoms are made of latex and everybody has been trying silicone for foundation, so the silicone sponge.
I would argue you could have alternatively just put your sponge into a balloon if you needed to wrap your sponge in latex, but no. People just wanted the shock value. Even beyond this very random specific condom trend, I think in general there were just a bunch of bizarre things people were testing out on camera.
Your bra insert is the only makeup sponge you ever needed. Oh my god, it looks so streaky, I can't. Okay, tap it in like a beauty blender. Tap it in. Tapping it in. Honestly, what are we doing here? Please, for the love of humanity, stop this.
Okay, let's pause for a little beauty haul. I have quite a few restocks that I just picked up from Quince, including my Olaplex shampoo and conditioner. I've been using these for years at this point. And then one of my favorite sunscreens, the Supergoop Unseen sunscreen. This is such a good one to wear under makeup because it's pretty smoothing and lightweight. And the Chabula serum from True Botanicals. This is now my 3rd bottle of this. I just feel like it leaves my skin so bright and even toned. But some new to me things, I got this from Briogeo. This is their Scalp Revival. I've been dealing with some like flakiness results in my scalp, so I figured I would try this out, and I kid you not, the first time that I used this, I already noticed such a big difference. But I also wanted to try a new cleansing oil. This brand is called One Love Organics. This is their Bee Botanical, and I haven't tried anything from this brand yet, so I'm excited to give it a shot. I love buying my beauty products from Quince because they have all my favorite brands, but the best part is that then when you buy your products that you were gonna buy anyways, you get a credit to use on their website. You can earn up to 25% back, and I used that credit for a rug. Okay, I have been needing a rug for my living room. I have lived in this apartment for over 2 years, and I have not had a rug that fit this space until now. It's so beautiful and lush. I feel like it really pulls the room together. You can shop all these products with free shipping and 365-day returns following my links below or using the QR code on the screen. Thank you to Quince for working with me again on today's video, and let's get back into it. At the time, that was like the theme of a lot of beauty videos, especially the ones that really took off and got millions of views. Tati in particular would do 2 different series every single week, testing out kind of shocking things. We had OMG Tuesday.
OMG Tuesday. It is kind of the budget version of WTF, where I'm going to put to the test budget-friendly items that are either really unique, interesting, innovative, or they're just like a $4 foundation. Let's see how it wears throughout the day. Can we find some stuff that is super affordable?
And WTF Wednesday.
Hey guys, welcome to another WTF.
And even as an aside, as I was going back and looking at these videos, it is comical how many videos had the letters WTF in them in 2017. Like in 2017, if you put those 3 letters on a video, like you were guaranteed millions of views. Like people just wanted crazy, shocking things. And again, it was never anything that interesting. It was just like, I'm gonna put my sponge in a condom. But even the ones that weren't quite as like bizarre and nonsensical, there were still a lot of videos centered around just like intrigue from the viewer of like, is that gonna work? How is that gonna work out?
Testing paper makeup. I literally have a plethora of paper makeup that I bought. Dear God. Dear God.
And this is spray paint nail polish. Shake it, shake, shake it, shake it, shake it.
It does look pretty bad.
You know, there was the green lipstick from Lipstick Queen. That one was a really big one. And it had the same thing these all have in common. Like it looked really dramatic on a thumbnail. Even though when you actually applied that product, it was just your standard pH adjusting lip product. Like many of them perform the same, but it got so much attention because it was green. Even like lots of peel off stains and peel off products, which are actually still kind of popular today. I feel like now we've had a more modernized, slightly better versions of these products, but the ones we were playing with in 2016 and 17 debatably weren't great. I would actually say though, even the ones we have today, I have said on record, I am not a fan of the Sachu lip stains. Those have never worked well for me. I think they always look super patchy. I have other lip stains I like a lot, like the Wonder Skin ones, but like the peel off ones from Sachu, for me, not a fan. In this same theme, lots of like weird face masks, like the most extreme face mask in the world. Painful peel off masks.
Holy fuck. To really just seep in and then rip out all the stuff in your pores.
Or bubbling masks. I remember having a bubbling mask back in the day, and I don't think it did a ton for my skin. I don't think there's a significant benefit there. I think it was just an interesting experience to put this bubbling product on. And at the time, I don't know, we were just kind of vibing with that. And it's very different from today because I think people prioritize efficacy over an interesting experience. And to be fair, I think a lot of this like shock value product interest was a very online thing. I don't know that the average consumer was testing these products out. I think they really just enjoyed the video of it. However, it did trickle down into the products people were buying. Like going back to those green lipsticks we talked about in the beginning of the video, Tati said in her video that she specifically went to 5 different Ultas to try to find that lipstick because it was sold out everywhere.
It is selling everywhere like crazy. And at Ulta near me, they were sold out. They were sold out at like 5 different Ultas. I had to drive all the way an hour away to get this. So
as much as these were like mostly online things, people were certainly buying and trying these like bizarre products. I mean, like I said, I had one of the bubble face masks. I think even just a face mask was very popular at the time. Obviously people still do face masks, but I feel like the version of it that's popular today is a sheet mask or like an overnight collagen mask that kind of absorbs into the skin. 10 years ago, it was all about like the glam glow mask, lots of clay masks, the Aztec mask, the one that's like a powder that you have to reconstitute. That, oh my goodness, the people loved that mask 10 years ago. And do you remember the Glow Job mask? Yes, I just said Glow Job. This was Too Faced's answer to a mask that was really popular from Glam Glow that had glitter in it. Again, why a face mask needs glitter, I don't know, but it kind of fit into like the unicorn, holographic, everything that people seem to be into at this time. And Glam Glow had that very popular sparkly mask. And then Too Faced came out with their own version, and in typical Too Faced fashion, they named it something explicit, which again, I think kind of fits in with all the other like weird sexual trends around this time of like applying makeup with a condom, using a bra insert to do your makeup with. I think even just generally, there were lots of questionable skincare decisions 10 years ago. Like you had to have a Clarisonic brush or like a rubber pore scrubber. Like we were really trying to get in there. You also had to have the Mario Badescu facial spray, which I think people now look back on in horror.
A Mario Badescu rose water. So I like to keep this with me at all times. If I'm going to the pool, keep it with you. If you get too hot, you just spray it, and it's literally a lifesaver.
But it wasn't just skincare, it was lots of bizarre makeup products. Elizabeth Arden had a foaming foundation. This one was super popular. Again, it was super popular in videos. I can't say every person was running out to buy this one, but videos showcasing this foam foundation were getting millions of views. People were just like so intrigued by it, when at the end of the day, it's still kind of just a liquid foundation. Like that foam's gonna flatten down. It's really not that different or remarkable, but it looked really cool on a thumbnail. Even like the Dior Air Flash foundation was very popular at this time, which made sense because years prior, airbrushing as a makeup application technique was very popular, which is funny to think about today. Like I'm sure some people might be watching this video and even not know what airbrush makeup is. It was actually like a machine that would brush it onto your face. And I remember multiple times when I was like an older teen getting makeup done for like some special event and having a professional makeup artist do it and having them airbrush my face and thinking I was so cool. It's funny now because the phrase airbrush is like used in makeup or used to describe makeup, but I don't think a lot of people actually associate it with like airbrush makeup from back in the day, but that was a thing, a big thing. And then that Air Flash foundation was supposed to kind of be offering a more accessible, I say accessible, it was wildly expensive, but a more approachable version of like an at-home airbrush experience, because at the time, again, that was like peak makeup that people were really coveting. Like the airbrush look was really sought after. That obsession was a little bit pre-2016. It kind of predated some of these other products we're talking about, but I think the allure was definitely still there from consumers. I mean, just in general, we know makeup was a bit more bold at this time. Like everyone had to have mink eyelashes. It's so funny to think back now of the obsession with mink eyelashes in particular. It could not just be like a bold eyelash. Like people really were proudly wearing mink fur on their eyelashes. It wasn't that long ago, but it kind of feels like another world. I don't know. I look back on that time fondly. If you haven't seen part 1, I will have it linked right here. Thank you so much to Quince for sponsoring today's video, and I will go ahead and see you in my next one. Bye.